Hey, what's up guys? Tukey here, back again, and it is time to sim yet another regular season here with the Russian team. Nation United indeed. Now, we ended the last episode again on a bit of a high note with how the free agent period went for us, but then with the question of do we look to make moves now? And after consideration with the comments, because yes, I do read the comments all the time. I might not answer all of them, but I do read the comments all the time. Every single one, I promise. Yes, even yours. Even you. Yes, you. Yeah. Anyway, after looking at the comments and looking at the team, because we have the question of do we make a move right now or do we wait? The only move that can really be made is Sergachev, because Provorov is way too expensive. He is. But both have 2 years left on their contracts, so they might be worth waiting for instead of trading for. The big question is, will either of them end up on a trade block? Which would be amazing. I don't know if I'm banking on that happening. There are also some other top-notch forwards that we could look to get. Kuznetsov, Svechnikov, Kucherov, Panarin. Although I would say Svechnikov is really the one to get because the others are all over 30 at this point. Even Nikita Gusev is 31. Kirill Kaprizov could be a target. So we are limited in our options. And that's because the team's already stacked up with top Russians, which again led to the question of do we make a move or not. And I'm going to take the risk and not make a move now. We're going to stick with this team. This is the roster that we're going with. Kravtsov, Malkin, Tarasenko, Kaprizov, Trenin, Ovechkin, Guryanov, Barbashev, Radulov, Sokolov, Buchnevich, and Goldobin. The defense is Orlov, Alexiev, Romanov, Zadorov, Kulikov, Gavrikov, and then of course, the goaltending is Askarov and Shesterkin. Which means, yes, the AHL is stacked. Absolutely stacked. Especially with Amarov, Guskov, Kavanov, Chistov, who should probably be on higher lines, but for now they're at least playing. The thing is, we're going to have to make trades at some point this season. Odds are it'll be trading to get a deadline addition, but we're going to have to get rid of somebody. Is Nikolai Goldobin going to be content to be a fourth liner this year? Probably not. The second we start to see his overall drop, yeah, it's going to make sense to go out and trade him as Ryan Ellis becomes a Florida Panther. It's going to make sense to see how long we can get away with certain players being content on this team, and the second they're not, then yeah, we're going to have to cut ties with the players that aren't viewed as major additions. And there is the thought, too, you think of Ovechkin and Malkin as good as they are, would it make sense to potentially move on from them as well? It really does depend on the draft. We already looked at the draft. It's shaping up to be okay, but again, we don't have another top-notch Russian. We haven't really seen a Russian in the top 10 for the majority of this series. We do have Dadonov, call him what you will. Pavel Yekimovs is there as well, and Teratukin, of course, isn't available. So there isn't anybody that we're desperate to get in this draft, so the main focus is just having this team be as good as they possibly can be, and hopefully we go on to win. That would be great, especially with some of our better players and veterans being the age that they are. The ratings for this year: 100 offense, 84 defense, 84 goaltending. Tarasenko listed as our best player. To say that that's a team that could win a cup, I think, is an understatement. It's just whether or not we can get away with having a relative imbalance in terms of players being happy, playing on lines that they shouldn't necessarily be on. How much of a detriment is it going to be to have a third liner in Goldobin playing on the fourth line rather than having somebody else there, as we put up 16 goals in 2 games against Boston and Arizona. So clearly, this team's going to be interesting to watch because some games we're struggling, other games we are just destroying teams. 5-3-1 to start. Might seem a bit early, but I do want to check the lines already as free agent addition Kirill Kaprizov is crushing it. So far, he, of course, on the second line with Trenin and Ovechkin. Went with Trenin on the second line. Might regret it because of that offensive awareness and the playmaking ability. Although we have Kaprizov as a playmaker so that Ovechkin can be the sniper. He has 5 goals and 9 points. Radulov doing well on that third line. Of course, there is some balancing in terms of playmaking ability. Goldobin's at an 82. Yeah, he's not happy already. Buchnevich isn't happy either. We're still going to see how long we can get away with it for, but although they're not, I mean, when they are playing, they're terrible. The hope is that with Buchnevich, we can trade him. Sign him, trade him. It's cheesy, but we have to do what we have to do. Neither of these two are going to be useful long-term because you look at the talent that we have coming up. Amarov, Kamenev, of course, was already on the roster. Marchenko's there. Nichushkin's there. We're going to see if we can trade Goldobin and Buchnevich right now and have their instant replacements step into the lineup. And acquiring these draft picks could end up being crucial towards us either making a move in the upcoming draft or going through and pulling off a much bigger deal. So I hate to say it, you hate to see it, but Buchnevich has to go, Goldobin has to go. Buchnevich especially should hopefully have been on the team long enough that I'm not going to get punished for signing him. But he has pretty damn good value that I just can't overlook. So we're going to go to the Leafs because they have that defensive prospect I'm interested in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to work out cap-wise, though. It's not looking too good, at least. Maybe we'll have to make a separate trade for draft picks and then get that prospect from the Leafs because in terms of value, they don't have anybody of negative value. So where can we trade these two, if anywhere? Might have to trade them separately. Let's go to the trade finder. It'll be easier that way. Although I'm a bit worried that we're actually not going to find a landing spot for either player via the trade finder. That is a realistic possibility. So Buchnevich and Goldobin, is it possible to trade the two of you together? It is not. Is it possible to trade Pavel Buchnevich in general? It is. Dallas offers a first. Dellandrea, obviously, we can't take. So Dallas or Ottawa. Nikita Zaitsev. Interesting. He would be an improvement for that third pairing. Very interesting. Let's talk to Ottawa. This could be worth it. Rather than having Gavrikov, how good is Zaitsev at this point? Because you got to figure a lot of our defensemen aren't that good. In theory, he would be decent. We can afford to take on that contract as well. I don't hate this. I know, in theory, trading for Zaitsev is not a very good idea. Based off of name value. Why would I be adding draft picks? What am I doing? I don't hate this idea of going after Nikita Zaitsev. I really don't. As crazy as that is. Get some draft picks, get a better defenseman than who we already have. Will that go through? No. What if I take out the fourth? No. So we're going to have to take out the third because I definitely want that second. Will that go through? Still no. Will that go through straight up? Yes, it will. So we have traded Pavel Buchnevich to the Ottawa Senators for Nikita Zaitsev and their second-round pick that moves Gavrikov into healthy scratch territory. We already had Renat Valiev as a healthy scratch. How that move's going to work out for us, I'm not entirely sure. Let's go best lines for the moment. That puts Zykov in. Obviously, we still need to find a deal for Nikolai Goldobin. Did not expect whatsoever to trade for Nikita Zaitsev, but here we are. Life comes at you fast. We are getting an offer through for Goldobin. Buffalo can take him. Philip Schlappick's not available to us, and even if he was, Kuhlman's terrible too. Ottawa would still work, huh? Dylan DeMello, a second to McDonough. Dallas was offering a second and a third. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the highest it was. Let's talk to Dallas and obviously see if we can get a little bit more value out of it. But from the looks of it, we won't be able to. That's pretty much a fair deal. It's a third next year. Let me tack on a fourth and just see what the deal is. It didn't go through. Sweeten it a touch. To be honest, I'll do that because we do have some extra late round picks. Is the seventh just a touch? No, it isn't. What about a sixth rounder? So rather than trading for firsts, we're going to be able to pick up a couple of extra second round picks and Nikita Zaitsev out of these deals. Goldobin, thank you for your service, buddy, but you are no longer required here. So forward-wise, we have our 10, 11 with Zykov, who I think we will still play on the fourth line. More than likely. So who's going to be the other? Probably Kamenev. Yeah, Kamenev's going to be the other call-up, and I think we'll call up Nikolai Prokhorkin again as the healthy scratch. That is the game plan there, so that'll obviously affect the AHL as well in terms of getting some of our younger guys some more prime time, ice time, as Kamenev is going to be in. So it's going to be, take Prokhorkin out, bring in Kamenev. Kamenev will be with Sokolov and Zhikov. They're all already grinders, which is perfect. We're going to make that change, that change, that change, and that change. There we go. And then defensively now, it's Orlov, Alexiev, Romanov, and we still want Zadorov there for that +5. Kulikov and Zaitsev. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. That defense is looking a little bit better, so there's a chance that we don't have a 100 rated offense anymore. Good God, the goaltending we've seen thus far. I can't believe we've lost games. That shows that we were giving up a shitload of shots anyway, though. Let's go best lines here. So defensively, I don't think we have anybody scratched, and I'm worried about just Kavanov. And a medium 9 and Volkov. Shivryov's 25. Okay, so Kavanov needs to make it into the lineup. Easiest guy to take out is probably Saprikin. Vorobiev. We'll take out Mikhail Vorobiev here. Bring in Kavanov because he's a natural sniper as well. Let's just make sure that our top prospects are getting the best playing time. Perfect. Defensively, Mukhamaduin and Rykov. Perfect. Again, sucks to see those two players go in particular, but I think that was the right move. Shore up the defense, in theory. I know it's Nikita Zaitsev, but shore up the defense in theory. Let's see, before this game against Carolina, what the ratings are now for this team. We shouldn't see too much of a change. I'm guessing the offense dropped by a point or two, though. It is a 98. So yeah, there we go. So we traded 2 points, I believe, for offense for 2 points on defense. I think that was necessary, all things considered. So not too bad. Of course, this offense is still absolutely outrageous. So we move on. Sucks to see Bushnevich. I mean, you know, he just got here. Sucks to see him go. Sucks to see Goldie go, who was a part of this team for a long time. But it was time to move on. Again, like if he wasn't... You know, if we didn't sign Radulov, as Malkin goes down to an injury, big chance for Prokhorkin. If we didn't sign Radulov, then yeah, Goldobin probably would have been a third liner. But long term, that's all Goldobin was going to be for us as bottom six. He was never going to make it into a top six role on this team. It just wasn't going to happen, unfortunately. How did Prokhorkin do, I wonder, while he played? We'll find out in a second. Welcome back, Gino. Nikolai. Ugh, not good. Not good at all, but we were winning the majority of our games and continuing to pick up points as we're neck and neck with Washington. Right now, the record looking pretty damn good as we lose to Winnipeg because I opened my big fat mouth. That's what I get. Chistov goes down to injury, but he is healthy already. Great news for us. Very good news, and we finished the month with a win. So 16-5-2 as of December 1st. That is still not good enough to be, as Chicago beat Calgary 9-0. That is still not good enough to be the top team in the division. Washington is on an unbelievable stretch. Tarasenko is leading this team in points. We're going to go take a look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are doing well, and the Philadelphia Flyers, who are struggling a little bit more than that. But they are looking to sell to bring in Provorov, which sucks. Tampa's looking to move Perfetti, but not Sergachev. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. Okay. Again, those are the two big fish that we could look to bring in, the ones that really do make the most sense. Just out of curiosity, I doubt they have an offer. No, they do have an offer that they'd accept. No, they don't. It just took forever to load. That's the first time I've ever seen it not immediately reject. That really got my hopes up. What about for Sergachev? I don't think there's any way. No. So yeah, see, it would take a ridiculous amount of assets to make either trade happen. If this was FHM, I would make trades to weaken the team. But I don't think I'm going to do that here. We're just going to deal with it as it stands. Let's finish up the final month of 2023 and see how we're looking at that point. I do want an update on the draft class to see if anyone's moving up the rankings, which is incredibly rare, I feel. As Dodonov, not looking that good. Yakimov's isn't looking that good. Holy hell, Sabruev. Okay, but he's early second round. Great starting overall. Not a great potential. He's fucking from Belarus. Are you kidding me? I just noticed. This is not going to be a very important draft for us. Vorobyov, even if he has that potential, cool. But yeah, it's not going to be a very important draft for us. So every single pick is going to be available to use if need be. As Tulipov goes down injured for the Knights. Let's take a look actually at the team again. I want to see what the morale's looking like. Vitaly Kravtsov is leading this team in points. What are we dealing with here? No further negatives, which is good. Kravtsov is killing it, 30 points. Gino, I mean, doing well, 21 points in 23 games. Tarasenko looking okay. Kaprizov doing well. Trenin only 15 points. We're not getting as much scoring as I thought we would, to be honest. Defensively, Orlov looking good. Alexiev's not much of a point getter, which is shocking given some of his stats. Romanov's in the habit of taking penalties, so is Nikita Zadorov, of course. Well, actually, nah, I guess just Zadorov. Kalikov, and... That's Nikita Zaitsev for you. Askarov and Shestyorkin have still been amazing. Still been amazing. So really, it's that the goaltending is on point, so the game, I feel like, just kind of naturally lowers the effectiveness of our scorers. Sokolov is really upset with his ice time. Zekov's upset with his ice time too, which is bullshit. I know we don't roll 4 lines, but with with those 3, I'm not too worried about them being upset. That's not a gigantic detriment, we'll say. Could be a hell of a lot worse. So let's keep simming, shall we? Let's keep simming. We beat Detroit. Very good. And of course, we'll check back again on the state of the Lightning and the Flyers. Although I don't think we should expect Philly right now is in the playoff spot. I don't think at any point we should expect either of those 2 key defensemen to end up on the block. It's just not... It's not going to happen, unfortunately. We're going to have to pull off a gigantic trade to get that deal to go down. Tulipov was a defenseman. And it'll be Chubarov out, Tulipov back in. Kamadulin still at a 79. He's playing big minutes down in the AHL. What'll probably be his final season in the minors. Not exactly a banner month for us down the stretch there, but January 1st, 22, 11, and 3. That's only good enough to be in a wild card spot. The Metro is extremely competitive. Outrageously competitive, you might want to say. So looking at the team, 34 points and 36 for Kravtsov. 25 and 32 for Malkin, that's still not bad. 34 and 36 for Tarasenko, that's fine. Kaprizov's killing it. Trenin, and Ovechkin on 30. I think we have to swap Trenin and Barbashev. I think we do. And we'll just go ahead and outright do that and say screw player types. Denis Gurianov is not having a very good season offensively. We'll see if the changes to those lines help, but Gurianov and Radulov have been slightly disappointing so far. Gurianov, I think we're going to want to keep short term, but we could take advantage of that value. I mean, again, right now in the top 6, it's just Malkin and Ovechkin. So Malkin, Ovechkin, Radulov aren't a part of the future. You could easily plug Gurianov and Trenin into that top 6. Or you could say, get the most out of Gurianov now because Amarov, Chistov, you just plug one of those 2 guys into the spot and hope that they develop like we've seen in Florida. And defensively, that third pairing's a mess. We might be scratching Nikita Zaitsev. Oh, Nikita. That is not great. Not like Gavrikov was doing much. But Zaitsev-Kulikov is a nightmare. I think we're going to see what Gavrikov can do because we know that's not working. Whew. Oh, Nikita Zaitsev. When will people learn not to trade for you? Apparently I wasn't smart enough to avoid it. Is there a trade for you? Or am I stuck with your diminishing value for the rest of the season? Because you probably don't have much value anyway with that contract. It's actually not in the negatives. Zaitsev, is there a deal for you? Yes, there is. Third and a fourth from Arizona. It's looking like a third is about the best that we're going to be able to do. Second round pick from Tampa. Okay. That's probably would have to take McDonough back, and we can't. So let's go to a team like Buffalo. I probably have to take a contract back, right? I do. We'll flip Samuelson. Third rounder. Let me see if I can add anything else to this. We'll flip Samuelson. He'll never play a single meaningful game for us. Will that go through? No. What about if we just tack on a sixth to safety net? Still no. Okay, wow, they are actually offering fair deals. Nikita Zaitsev, flip the Buffalo for a third round pick, essentially, out of pure desperation because that experiment did not work. Flat out. Gave it time, wanted to see if it would work due to him being a higher overall. It did not work. Mukhamadulim will get an opportunity if we're not able to acquire Sergachev in February, if he is needed, if Gavrikov cannot get the job done. So Shakir, get ready, buddy. Because while you're having a good season in the AHL, the NHL is a completely different animal, as you are potentially about to find out. Mario Ferraro we cannot claim. So we will not even bother. As it is, we still have to get rid of Samuelson at some point. He's just sitting there. The important thing is we got rid of Nikita Zaitsev. He was on an expiring deal, but that was going to be a bad situation. As we are continuing to lose games, we've lost 6 in a row and are plummeting down the standings in a season where we, in theory, should have been able to keep up with the best of the best in this division. We are back into third, but you see just how dominant and competitive this division is, with the exception of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Philly's right there. Tampa's atop the Atlantic. So at no point are we pulling off a Sergachev trade with either one of them, on the trade block. That's just not going to happen. Now, we don't have to consider Tampa would never want to trade Sergachev. Oh, God, his value went up a little bit. He's still going to be cheaper than Provorov. We have to try and pull this trade off. We need a number 1 defenseman. Which is, how do we get there? How do we get there on a relatively cheap deal? Again, goalie-wise, it would take Kropotsev, who's looking good, but we don't need him. He's hopefully the gem of this trade to make it work. I'm not willing to give up any of those defensemen. Forward-wise, this is where... This is where someone like Trenin could come in handy if we needed him. Barbashev, not having a great year this year in the middle 6, but he's proven he can put up 60-some-odd points. At least not having the same success. Trenin has proven the same. Kaprizov, Malkin's obviously our number 1 center. I really want to avoid giving up Cheestov if we can. Denis Gurionov, this could be the time. Or Alex Radulov, as Ovi's value continues to drop as well. Sokolov is on the 4th line, as is Kamenev. They want Gurionov or Radulov, though. I feel like Radulov is the smarter one to give up, although he has been better than Gurionov. He's obviously significantly older and doesn't have much of a future on the team. So Karpatsev, Gurionov, and then prospect-wise, obviously we have this trio of Medvedov, Kavanov, Michkov. Amarov's there as well. He's a little bit older and not that much better than Medvedov and Kavanov. Amarov could go. Kirill Marchenko might be really solid later on. Amarov is the guy that we add if we don't have enough draft picks to pull this off. How close is this deal? It's not. It's not. It's not. What if we use that Ottawa second? Still no. Of course, he's going to be so stupidly expensive. And what about that second? That's a no. We still might not be able to pull this off. I can flat out admit that. It might take Chistov, and I'm not willing to do that because of how good he could be. 2 firsts and Radulov is not enough. What if we add the Ottawa second? Still not enough. We're not going to be able to get our hands on either of these top 2 players without it being an extreme return. You could argue it's worth it. But when we could potentially get these players in a year and a half for nothing. Like we're talking Tulipov or Chistov. Or Barbashev. I really do like Barbashev. But maybe it's worth it. He's 28. About the same as Trennan. He's on a really good deal, though. We have to make that judgment call right here and right now. Is it worth going for Sergachev? Because if Barbashev doesn't work, then yeah, we'd have to be talking Chistov. And you could argue that getting rid of Chistov is worth it. He's such a weird player. Shot's not amazing. The offensive awareness sucks. Playmaking's fine. Defense isn't that great in terms of awareness, but he can block and check. He's not a great skater, but he is physical as hell. I do wonder. Yeah, he doesn't fit in tremendously well on the first line. He would have to be a bottom 6 guy. And we got to get rid of Chistov. He's a bottom 6 guy with this coach, and this coach is tremendous. As far as I know, we're not changing this coach anytime soon. Which means it is not worth holding on to a player of that value just to have them be in the bottom 6. Because that's where he'd be. The only way that changes is if our coach is old as shit and is potentially going to retire. And he's not. He's only 51. He's only 51. Yeah. Chistov's got to go. That's the answer. Chistov's the guy. No, it makes no sense to hold on to someone of that caliber if they're going to be a bottom 6 option. We might as well go for Provorov first, with him having the higher value. And if we can't get him, then we default back to Sergachev. But that is the plan. So it is going to be Chistov that we use. I'm pretty sure we're still going to have to use the goaltender as well. But we'll see how close we can get. I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, that the goalie's still going to have to be used here. Yeah, the value is just too much. The good thing is, goaltending-wise, we are set. And again, now we know Chistov doesn't have that much value. We're going to see if we can bring in Provorov. I'm going to safety net this with a second, just to be sure. I don't want to screw myself out of a tremendous amount of value. They already have our 3rd round pick. That won't go through. What about straight up? I told you it was going to be expensive as hell. And you could argue whether or not it's worth it, but these 2 players aren't worth keeping for us, so we might as well go for it. We might as well go all out. And obviously, Provorov's a bit more expensive than Sergachev. 3 second rounders and these 2 top-notch prospects in terms of value is not enough. We might as well see if we can get a deal done. If not, again, default back to Sergachev. What about now? Still no? What about now? Still no. Take out that second. What about now? We're going to go with another first because these trades, these picks haven't had that much value for us anyway. So it's going to be 2 firsts, Karpatsev and Chistov. Still no. Unless the second round picks work, unless this pick works, we're going after Sergachev, and it worked. 2 firsts, a second, and 2 top-notch prospects to the Philadelphia Flyers. Ivan Provorov, welcome aboard. Was that worth it? Well, we know in this year's draft, there's not really anybody worth getting. That goalie was never going to take over for Askarov, and Chistov was going to be a bottom 6 option. The only way that wasn't worth it is if that first-round pick next year ended up being desperately needed. Odds are it won't be, because odds are we're going to be a playoff team next year. And now we have a top 2 defenseman in Ivan Provorov, who goes alongside Orlov, Alexeyev Romanov, Zadorov, and Kulikov. I think it was worth it. It was a lot to give up, but if you look at what those picks were worth to us, I think it was worth it. We'll go best lines in the AHL. We just need to make sure that Tulipov is in. Obviously, Volkov being in would be helpful too. Oh, that's right, Samuelson's in. I was like, wait, why the hell? I gotta make sure that I trade Samuelson. Let's get Tulipov in there for him. We'll trade Samuelson soon. And then forward-wise, for the most part, we're good. Lapanov can come out, though, for Volkov, even though he's not a center. Swap with Kavanov. That's fine for now. So that deal is done. Provorov is here. What that means for this team moving forward, well, we're gonna find out, aren't we? But that is a big-time trade, and we technically didn't have to give up a roster player to do it, which is even more so important. Because again, now it'll be, I don't know what it'll be, because I still kind of want that Zadorov second pairing, but I think we got to throw that away. There might have to be some changes heading into the playoffs. I'd rather have Alexeyev next to Provorov. Orlov, Romanov, Kulikov, and Zadorov isn't ideal, but Provorov's here, man. Gigantic trade. Absolutely gigantic. But with the limitations of this series, I do feel like it was necessary. The question now is, number one, how is this team going to do over the next month? We still have some picks that we could probably use to get back into the first round if need be. It won't be likely. Goalie-wise, we're still okay. Defensively, you could make the argument of moving up Shakir Mukhamadullin or just playing him in the AHL for the rest of the season. You could make the argument of giving him a chance and dropping Dmitry Kulikov. I'm playing Mukhamadullin with Zadorov. Let me know what you think about that. And then we still have to move Samuelson. I'm going to try to find a trade for him really quickly. Of course, there is still that defenseman on the Leafs that we could trade for at some point if we decide that there are some forwards to move on from. But in terms of the defense, I think we pretty much have it set up because, again, the only other guy really to go after now is Mikhail Sergachev, and we're going to go after him probably 2 years from now in free agency, or a year and a half, more appropriately. Let's see what we can get for Samsonov. I'll take that third and a fourth. It's almost not even fair to acquire someone for a player that I'm not even supposed to have, but I had to do it to get a trade to go through. So there you go, Chicago. Quick and easy. So then forward-wise, this is the situation. Tarasenko stays for now. You could argue at 32 he's the guy to get rid of to just get Sergachev. I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I mean, I love Vladdy for sure. I think it probably would diminish the team a bit too much. If we were desperate for Sergachev, though, he'd be the guy that we'd have to use. But Malkin, not even worth trading. It's not worth trading him. It's not worth trading Ovechkin. It's not worth trading Radulov for their value alone. It's worth it if we think they're taking away time from players who deserve the time more. And I mean, if you look at the top 6 right now, it's Kaprizov and up. So are we unhappy with Barbashev, Gurionov, and Trenin being third liners? Because that's how it's shaping up. I mean, granted, Radulov's there, so like Barbashev would be top 6, but are we unhappy with the current placement of Barbashev, Gurianov, and Trenin? Because trades could technically be made, or do we continue to rely on the older core? Sokolov on the 4th line, you could argue get rid of him now, but that value, he's worth it to be on the team. The only real reason to make changes right now would be to say get Amarov on the 4th line, but I don't even think that's necessary this year. I think we're pretty much set. Literally the only discussion point for forwards is, do we trade Tarasenko for Sergachev? And I don't think that's necessary at all. And then again, defensively, Mukhamadullin, do we call him up and does he play? And we healthy scratch Dmitry Kulikov. Aside from that, we're pretty much good to go. I am going to stop the episode here. I want your opinion on the deal, what happens next, how you think the rest of this season goes. But we've made some trades on the fly, and no trade bigger than the acquisition of the new best player on this team and our new top defenseman. Ivan Provorov is here. Ivan, call him what you will. He's the man, and he looks beautiful in this jersey. We'll see what happens, though, and whether or not he can lead this team in the playoffs. Hopefully the playoffs, with how competitive this division is, in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you care to, drop a like on the video. Check out everything in the description. All the socials are there. The Patreon as well. And again, shout out to my patrons. There should be a new episode of the Patreon exclusive series up on Friday. Unfortunately, Wednesday, I felt like garbage, so I didn't get any videos done, as you well know, on either platform. So these 2 videos today for Thursday. Friday, they should be 2 episodes. Panthers, Russia, and then, yeah. And I still got to work on some other stuff as well. So thank you, guys. I love you all. I will see you and one Ivan Provorov in the next episode.